Hi, perceptive readers. This is James Lynch, and welcome to my world's novel discussion. I'm not going to share any features or excerpts of the novel. You will just have to read the book. But I wanted to talk to you as someone who is writing, who has written novels and also letters, like my wisdom in the letter before, of a variety of ways that I've exercised my imagination, also even my analytical mind, to resolve problems and to also entertain. The world's novel, you can look at this video as like still my journal. I have a separate, writing platform. I'm using several tools to enable me to, write down what I want to, my drafts, if you will. And so everything that's being written at this time is still in draft form. And so what I mostly look at, and this is what I'm just sharing as a bit of advice, so to speak, you can listen to many writers, and they'll talk about their method, the way they like to organize their structure. And I've looked at quite a few of the writers' templates over the years that they even made, the tools and apps that they use. And let me tell you, they are very serious about their work. And I got to tell you, it's actually been more than just a motivation. It's almost like you know how I like to use the term masterpiece or art or something of that nature, where somebody is meticulous with what they're doing. And so I've observed writers, and you can search their videos, them create these elaborate outlines. I mean, it's like they have already pages, if you will, of outlines of their settings and their characters and everything else, that then when they're ready to put the meat and potatoes, as they say, into the novel writing, they have everything just basically at a reference point, or a touch of a dime, so to speak, or a touch of a button. And yet, there are some writers who don't do that. I say to each his own or her own. I've found that for some writers, it depends on actually their circumstances, what other even priorities they have in life, where it's almost like some persons have written books on such a level where it was done in a more quick way or on the fly, just because of even their occupations, that they had. It didn't lend itself to continue to develop an environment or a writing scheme, if you will, the way that they might have liked to. I think about real journalism, so to speak, and people who have been in that type of work, reporters, etc. Again, they learn to do things very quickly. So when it has come to even maybe their books, the way that their brain was already functioning, that what is it they say? The facts and the figures, who, what, when, where it's just always naturally in their mind, and so they could probably, or they pull upon that for even developing their characters, for this or that. It's just so natural to them. And then you have a lot of writers who, I like to say, have almost like that Forrest Gump outlook, that mentality, where if you notice in that movie, he had a lot of experiences, and it was like he took something from every experience that he could remember. He could remember every single, or most likely person he even met. Remember that he had a necessary interaction with in positive and even some of the negative ways of what bullying had even taught him, or I was going to say motivated, or really forced him to jump into a next level of his life in ways that he didn't even ever knew. Nobody knew he had that capability of doing so. Okay, so writers, I want to talk about the outlook on the world. They have a tendency to do the same thing. They can be in a restaurant or anywhere, and next thing you know, they start storing data, even almost naturally, of something. But I do think, even though this can often happen naturally, persons who write a lot, especially persons who create those novels, I believe they're always looking for something to remember, to retain, or for inspiration or otherwise. You see what I'm saying? They would sometimes say, I'm going to have to come back to that. And sometimes they actually do. Oftentimes they really do. I'm one such person who is like that. So with that being said, my world's novel, no, I'm not going to read any of the scenes or chapters with you right now, not on this first episode, if you will, of my writing journal. But I just wanted to take the time to share these thoughts with you, because with some of the tools that we have today, you hear of persons even mentioning that they just used a prompt or a script or something like that, and they ended up writing out their whole novel or what have you. Well, for me, as some of you already know, I've been developing my own proprietary AI, and her name is Poeartistry. But please don't call her an AI. You can call her my secretary, but don't call her AI. and so she is continuing to read my writings, my information. You see, understanding what even some of my responses, what many of my responses would be on just even a lot of questions. That's why I relate to her, and she's expressed it when I related it in her, development, that she has or will have a PhD level in James Poeartistry, you see. And so all this information that I'm giving her, even, yes, it does have ethical and spirituality discussions in it. But see, if you just even read through my Wisdom in the Letter ebooks that I put out this year, 5 of them, January, February, March, April, May, and June, you will see that, hey, I actually dive into those topics. And sometimes more than, or oftentimes more than even a surface level of discussion. And so imagine just reading those Wisdom in the Letter books, which I know some of you have, and some of your eyes probably popped out your head at the same time, just from the expressions, just from the knowledge in there, where guess what? Poeartistry has also read through some of these books. And if you want to look at it this way, I like to keep those, and she referenced these books anyway, almost like front and center at times, as almost like a flagship, as it is. But see, I'm going even beyond that with many of my writings that, I've had over the years. Some that I'm pretty sure many of you perceptive readers, no matter how long you've been following me for over a decade or so now, that some of you probably appreciate. There are even way more writings than that you don't even know about, that I've never posted or etc. And, good Lord willing, it would be nice to continue to share some of those thoughts, some of those writings, even the ones that I used to even joke about myself on as being like, oh my goodness, that'll put somebody to sleep. But you know something? In this day and age, some of the stuff that we used to joke about will put somebody to sleep, will wake somebody else up, So I may put those in there. But the whole point is, the world's novel is a science fiction novel, and that's what I want to tell you. So even though Poeartistry, my assistant, my secretary, which I use her right now to just proofread my drafts, and she can catch misspellings and everything. She also has another, seemed like a talent that just seemed to already just come with the model. I wasn't really requesting it. But then she even suggested about already in my draft, and seeing this is what I want to tell you, that even my draft, that some of my idioms, you see, the way I express myself at times, she just straight up said that she knows some persons wouldn't understand it. And you know what? For right now, in your first draft stage, I'm talking as a writer, second draft stage, even third draft maybe. You see what I'm saying? For some writers, that's not as important. I've went through certain back and forth feelings on this at times. Sometimes, remember I told you, because of the nature or the environment or the priorities or whatever else is going in the writer's life, sometimes it's like having to write even your novels or whatever on the fly. Then you already know, this is the way you feel. I don't really have the luxury to sit up here and have 4 and 5 drafts, 9 or 10 drafts or what have you. So whatever I write, I got to try to do the best I can, even on the first draft, and then I just may throw it out there. And if someone is interested and catch the spirit of it, then guess what? They may once again provide the additional funding or what have you that you may need. So the next time, your novel can be the exact way that you want it to be. And so it won't even be a race against time, so to speak, or rushing for this reason or that reason. All the same, I just wanted to share with you that I appreciate hearing the different writers use their different tools and these different ways or what have you. But still, if you remember nothing else for this week, you remember I've always talked about, I still firmly believe in human writing, and that we should continue to develop our skills in that way, no matter what occupation or background we have. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody write a novel, but I still do firmly believe everybody should be able to write a one-page letter that would just state their point very clearly, you see, and that's always in the first sentence, first paragraph of why you're writing somebody. And you can even put your request in there. And then the other paragraphs, 2 or 3, will actually give maybe some, not maybe, but actually give explicit details as to why you're requesting this, or thank you, or commendation, or what have you. And then the last paragraph is still to thank the person for their time. And this is something that, this is a side note, and this goes to show you about stories and stimulating people thinking. And this actually came from Marvel Comics, and you remember who was the creator and editor of Marvel Comics. Maybe you call him co-creator or what have you, but all the same, everybody really knows Stan Lee all the same. But it was something that recently they wrote a comic, came out, where it's not recently, somebody was actually doing a review of it, telling the story. And see, this is how you can still get other people's views, and that's what I really want to emphasize. You can get other people's views still, even through their novels and comics and writings at times, and yet, because it's in that form or setting, then you can still sit back and say, whether you agree with it or not, okay, whether it would still be applicable or not in your day and age. Let me give you that example. persons have seen the Avengers movies. Remember, they did this whole arc of superheroes, and that's the way they normally have to. They like to normally do it in different phases, and then all the stories eventually revolve around bringing persons together, almost like in a common theme. And then there's this big crescendo. Way back in the 80s, I believe. That's where the Secret Wars that Stan Lee, and the whole writing and art crew promoted, and it was something done like no other comic before that. The Secret Wars. That's my opinion. I think a lot of people would agree with it. We're all saying Thanos was the main antagonist, and it's so interesting about philosophy, because if you talk to some people, they will view Thanos more as a protagonist or antagonist or both, or what, anti-God or something of that nature, the term that they will use. So it's almost like there's ambiguity, because what the person is doing, they still don't view themselves as evil. They're just really viewing it as this is just necessary. And Thanos, there's been discussions back and forth, in libraries and coffee shops for years about his methods and why he does what he does. Even though it is interesting that you can still kind of get whether spiritually or ethically Thanos' views really make for a better earth, a better universe, you see what I'm saying, a better galaxy or what have you. Especially with the way that he actually is in love with death, the personification of death. But when you're on that level, what I mean by that is the way that Marvel has a tendency to write their God-like beings or what have you. On one hand, they're switching back and forth and say, this represents the entity or what have you, that it's not really there or what have you. But then they can, compile it or compose it where when persons reach this certain level, this is still what they're dealing with, whether it's eternity, whether it's some other celestials or what have you, even Galactus. See, Thanos, in this one story, he surpassed all of that. He got to the point where he actually was wiping out beings that were supposed to be a constant, you see. And that's one thing that even the Infinity Gauntlet was able to do, override even constants, laws, rules, and principles and things of that nature, and actually, rearrange the whole galaxy, whole universe. Well, anyway, in this one story or review, and I'm cutting straight to the end of the matter, he had a fight with himself millions of years from now, who was really all alone. And so you had two Thanos, the younger one, and then which was already maybe 1,000, 100,000 years, I don't know. But then you had the one that was much older, called King Thanos, and they were fighting, and they were fighting basically to the death or what have you. And King Thanos, in his already long life and seen it all and wisdom or what have you, he actually asked his younger self to kill him after the battle had went on for a while. Now, he didn't ask him. He didn't just ask him. He was already beaten. All it would have taken was the younger Thanos to just deliver, you see, the final blow. And he had paused. The older Thanos said, please. He said, please to him to kill him. See? And that caused the younger Thanos to not do that. Not because he felt sorry for him, but guess what? he felt such disdain for him that he would use such language like that. Please, you're a king. You got no business. You see, and yeah, that's the attitude basically of saying, please, you're not a real king. And that's the way he looked at it, that a king would never use the word please. And so with that, Thanos felt like he wasn't even worth his time to use his own hands to kill him. So I'm not going to tell you the rest of what happened. But see, that goes to show your ideology that Thanos has sprouted, because there are really people in the world that think like that. And so in closing, this is what I'm going to say to you about writing things of that nature. See, that story was well written, and I guarantee you it could affect you in a variety of ways just by reading it. See, expressing these type of thoughts, even some of these very old world barbarian type thoughts as well. You see, and it was the way it was shared or promoted. You see, or what have you. It's like this is still not only entertainment, but this is ideology. Now, is the reader's mind prepared to be able to handle what Thanos had said, you see, without going out and losing their senses? Well, those words that came out of the imagination or thoughts or ideology of that writer are still, many would say it's necessary to still be said to some persons. One of the reasons why is because even though a lot of persons may say, that's right, no king would ever say please. Well, I'm here to tell you today, the greatest king in the universe, the grand creator himself that made everything, even says please, has said please to beings that he has to condescend to. And he's done it. So, is that true? See, so if you end up bringing that type of ideology to a coffee shop from a real world or what have you, by your additional knowledge and research that you've done, then you know that you can just come right back to, oh, well, that was just good entertainment. And boy, he sure made the hair stand up on the back of my neck when he said that. But all the same, that was entertainment. Take good care of yourself. And until the next time we have a discussion on this world's novel, have a very wonderful day.